What's up, NFL fans? Welcome back to another episode of For Your Viewing Pleasure. I'm going to say the way we see it. That's coming up. It's coming up real soon. I can't believe it. The season's almost over, but championship weekend's in the books. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Wesley Coleman. What's up, Wesley? How's it going?
Great, man. This is the episode that everybody's been waiting for all year. Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl is here. Flag football is going to happen. I know it's what everybody's been waiting on. So probably going to be the most downloaded episode we do this year.
Do you think the U.S. Olympic team is watching this flag football game and like scouting and like, what are we going to do for the next Olympic Games?
Do you think any members of the U.S. Olympic team are playing in this flag football game?
I think there'll be NFL players on that team, don't you?
I mean, I have to assume that if any of them try out, they're going to make it. Or not even try out, express interest.
I wonder if it's interesting. Let me ask you this before we talk about championship. The Pro Bowl sucks. We know this, and we're obviously being sarcastic when we talk about the Pro Bowl. Can you try to explain to me why any organization in their right mind would tie any type of incentive to a Pro Bowl anymore? Shedeur Sanders is going to the Pro Bowl because Drake May is in the Super Bowl. I mean, think about that. What are we doing?
Okay, so two different points. So one, I think that it's an archaic way of rewarding people for going to the Pro Bowl because it used to sort of matter a little bit.
Right.
And I think that it would be seen as some big, coup by NFL teams to try to now remove it from contracts after it's just been in there forever. The other side of this is, why does anybody care about Shedeur Sanders being played in an event that nobody's going to watch? Everybody's raving about this. It's not really the Pro Bowl. It's just I get, and again, so I think that fans that are raging about that are doing the same thing. Is the Pro Bowl is still in the contracts. They're still acting like the Pro Bowl matters. It doesn't matter. There's a whole lot of people every year that make the Pro Bowl that aren't in the elites, aren't going to get big contracts because just people get hurt or opt out or don't care. And especially now that it really doesn't matter. And it's a 7-on-7 game. So there's a whole lot of, which I think should also matter into these contracts, because it used to be an 11-on-11 real football game and you had to have a full roster. Now it's 7-on-7. It's goofy. So even less people, quote unquote, make it. But the Shedeur Sanders outrage is just crazy to me. Like, if Shedeur Sanders was the starting quarterback on the U.S. Olympic team, they'd still probably win the gold medal. Now, speaking of them winning a gold medal, like, does it hurt their chances now that Mike McCarthy actually has a job and can't be the coach of the U.S. Olympic team? Like, I'm terrified of this. I really thought he was, this time off was going to be great. He was going to
shut up. Shut up. I was waiting. How long? It took 2 minutes and 50 seconds for you to bring up Mike McCarthy into this podcast.
Congratulations, man. I'm just happy for you.
Why? We were going to talk about it anyways with all the coaching vacancies that are still happening. No one wants the Cleveland job. Let's talk about it now. What the hell?
I mean,
no one wants the Cleveland job.
Nobody want the Pittsburgh job except for Mike McCarthy.
I mean, well, no. I mean, the Steelers' process was awful, and the way that they didn't interview every potential candidate. What's funny is if you look at how they interviewed, it felt like they knew who they wanted, fulfilled the Rooney Rule, which is ironically named after their. Yeah, and that just
felt like that.
Yeah. But jokes aside, the Steelers made their selection. What do you think about some of these other vacancies? We still don't have a head coach in Arizona. Again, as of this being recorded, we don't have a head coach in Vegas. We don't have a head coach in Buffalo, and no one seems to want the Cleveland job. What are your thoughts on all this?
Well, my first thought is what I'm hoping for with Vegas, because I want Fernando Mendoza to be in a good situation. I want good things to happen for him. And I don't care if the Raiders do well. I'm hoping what they're doing is they're waiting on Clint Kubiak to finish his Seahawks journey to the Super Bowl. And so I'm just assuming there's some of these that they've got people for the Patriots and Seahawks are like, I'm not hiring without speaking to these people.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping the Raiders, I think Kubiak would be awesome with Genty and Mendoza. So I'm assuming that it's a little bit of that. I know there was some Rams people that were doing interviews the day before the game and are now have flew out the day after the game. To start doing interviews. So there's some of that still out there with the 4 finalist teams having people that were ripe for jobs.
What's your take on Phillip Rivers? He pulled his name out of the Bills hat, but why is he getting a look? What is Buffalo's search is interesting to say the least.
I mean, that seemed like a Colts move to
exactly,
hire him as a coach. I mean, what percentage more insane is it to hire him as your head coach than it was to bring him back to play football after 5 years? I mean, they're both. I mean, I don't know if it's that much crazier. I think if you'd have told me 2 months ago Phillip Rivers was going to sign an NFL contract, I'd be like, oh, it's as a coach. So yeah. I think the head coaching thing is less crazy than him coming back and starting for a team that was trying to save their playoff chances.
I don't mind them kicking the tires to see like, hey, let's just bring him in for a conversation. He obviously pulls his name out of the hat. A lot of people that are glued into that coaching realm and the cycles that happen say that this is not the first time or the last time you're going to hear Phillip Rivers' name as a head coach potentially in the National Football League. For me, though, you're going from high school to the NFL. I mean, I get it. He's played in the league. He knows what it takes. But I feel like there are some steps that should happen before he gets a head coaching look in the National Football League.
I assume it was a favor to him to now his name has been out there associated with being an NFL head coach. And so next year when he has an interview, it's going to be not quite as much outrage. And then 2 years from now, they're going to be, oh yeah, of course, Phil Rivers, good hire. I think it's really just a favor of, hey, we need to get Phillip Rivers' name associated with NFL head coach interviews. Do this. I mean, it's the retired quarterback Rooney rule.
All right, so we'll keep tabs on all the head coaching vacancies and as they get filled as we continue to press on throughout the final week before the Super Bowl. Next week's show, I do want to do a complete breakdown of really advantage, disadvantage, almost by offense, defense, looking at this upcoming Super Bowl. But let's talk about the championship weekend because I want to get your take on how those games played out. We texted about the games periodically. I thought the first game was rather dull. We knew it was going to be dull. We both said take the under. We both said take the Broncos getting the points. So we both hit on that. What other takeaways do you have from that AFC championship game?
I mean, it was ruined by an outdoor stadium.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Completely ruined.
You and Cam Jordan.
If we just go to semi-regular weather or any dome, in any dome in the NFL, the Broncos win this game because they can kick field goals. Instead, we have played the second half of the most important game that got played in the AFC this year. We played the second half in conditions where you could not make a field goal. Unless you kicked it to the wrong spot and got lucky with it. It wasn't anybody's fault, but you could not make a field goal in that weather in the second half of that game. And so,
hey, why would you pass up points?
And it's
in the first half
because you can't make a field goal. No, I agree with that.
In the first half, you could make a field goal.
Completely agree that was an enormous mistake by Sean Payton. Here's what so somebody sent me a message and they're like, man, in a game like this, when the weather is going to get worse, that points are at a premium. And I was like, I agree with you. And that's exactly why he went for it, because he did not think they were going to be in the red zone ever again in that game. And he was pretty correct.
I understand that, but it doesn't add up.
I think, I will give him a pass because he had, a non-quarterback playing quarterback. A non-NFL starting quarterback. If he has Bo Nix in there, and I'm like, you're the biggest idiot there is. I still think, and again, hindsight's 2020. He definitely should have. And I was texting you at the time in all caps, take the points.
Yes.
But I understand with Jared Stidham, he's like, man, we've been in the red zone twice. If we come out of this with 14 points, and here's the thing, he's correct that if that results in a touchdown, he wins the game right there. First two drives, you're up 14-0, and that's the end of the game. It really was. So, again, if Bo Nix is in there, I'm really raging about it of how dumb are you to not take those points. Having said that, if Bo Nix is in there, they win the game. If the game is in semi-regular conditions, they win the game because they can kick field goals. Will Lutz was one of the best field goal kickers in the NFL the last 2 years. He kicks great in Denver. But that was impossible conditions in that second half
here's my issue. I want to compound on what you said. So it's risk reward. And I understand when he talked about taking that risk, because if you get the reward of the risk, you're probably winning that game. 2 touchdowns is probably going to win it. This storm didn't just pop up, though. It wasn't like all of a sudden they were calling for clear skies, maybe slight wind gusts from time to time. They were saying that it was going to get nasty in this game. That's why, like Sean Payton said in his post-game press conference when asked about the fourth down decision, he said, I felt like we had the momentum. Okay, I get it. But if you got to look at the second half and say our defense is playing good football. And if we get a 2-score lead, I think we're winning. I think we win the game. And when you think about the opening script for this game worked out perfectly for them. They get a big time touchdown. You move down the field, you could go up by 2 scores and you pass on it. And that's what really bothered me. In a game like that, the AFC Championship game, where sometimes points just in general, regardless of where it is, are at a premium, I never would pass up the points.
Let me ask you this. If he kicks a field goal and the game's 10-10 and it ends in regulation 10-10, are they still playing the game right now? Would anyone
that's a good point.
Scored still? Would they still be playing?
I mean, eventually it would probably have come down to some type of turnover.
Nobody could run anymore. It
got dicey quick.
Yeah.
I know my buddy Kevin Smith from the Whip Round posted a still image on his Twitter, and it was like the beginning of the second half, still clear field, and then the fourth quarter, it was like a snow globe. So that was wild. Any other takeaways from the AFC Championship game?
I mean, the Patriots offense is not good, and this is I'm listen, you made the Super Bowl, and I can't take that away, but their route to the Super Bowl with Herbert playing awful behind the worst offensive line in football, the most injured offensive line in football, and then barely, I mean, it was a close game for most of the game against the Texans until the end, but beating CJ Stroud, who had the worst playoff performance by like a, decorated top 10 quarterback, generally considered in the NFL. I mean, and then beating the Bo Nixless, Jared Stidham Broncos, who in a snowstorm, they beat them 10-7. It's the worst route to the Super Bowl you could have, or easiest route, or least deserved route. It just, man, it really hurts thinking back to what we could have had for at least, and also for the Super Bowl that we're going to talk about, if the Bills would have beat the Broncos.
I can't crap on the Patriots. It's not their fault. They're winning the games that are presented to them. But man, like you said, talk about easy street getting to the Super Bowl. Boston sports fans in general, I find to be some of the most obnoxious fans on the face of the planet. And so I'm really rooting hard against the Patriots in this Super Bowl.
Yeah, like I like Dave Portnoy and his pizza reviews and watch all of them, and I root for the Patriots to lose just because of how obnoxious he is.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sorry, but when your team is your quarter, Drake May's 86 yards passing. It's
I mean, I don't know. All right, that game was definitely not the best in terms of viewing experience in the first game, but the second game totally redeemed yourself. What a football game, the NFC Championship. We also talked last week about taking the over in this contest, which it did in a big way.
Yep.
And the Seattle Seahawks punched their ticket in an entertaining game. I do have some questions still about the officiating. 2 plays in particular. I don't know how the 3rd and 8 Cooper Kupp conversion, how they don't allow a challenge there, at least to look at it. McVay clearly wants to look at it, and they talk him out of it. And then also Puka Nacua not being ruled out of bounds at the very end of the game. Not that it would have mattered, but these questions always
might have mattered.
It could have. Yeah, it would have been a Hail Mary. All these questions always linger, and that's what I hate about how officiating. These moments occur where if they just review something, whether you go back to Denver, Buffalo, we talked about the interception or down by contact, whatever that was. I don't know. What was your take on those 2 plays in particular?
Well, first of all, so the play at the end going out of bounds, if that's any other thing, and we're talking about he has to make a football move to be down with the ball, why he's out of bounds? I'm sorry. At the same time that his leg is touching, his butt touches. He's out of bounds.
How do you make a football move when you're being hit and you're falling to the ground?
No, he is out of bounds for sure.
Exactly.
And also, if we were just to, put together, and that puts them at the 50-yard line, and I get it. Hail Marys they don't happen. But if you told me that you were going to put a team together of people to go catch a Hail Mary. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Colby Parkinson, who's 6'7". I mean,
yeah.
One, you're not out fighting Puka Nacua for the ball if it gets to his area. One, Devontae Adams is going to catch the ball and fight and bring it down too. He's got huge hands. And Colby Parkinson is going to be the first person that can get high 'enough to touch the ball at 6'7", 270, and you're not getting him off of his spot. So I want to see that Hail Mary.
Well, hold on. I'm going to ask you a question. Wasn't there around 8 seconds left when Puka Nacua potentially went out of bounds?
Yeah, something like that.
If they stopped the clock, I would bet almost my house that they weren't going to throw a Hail Mary there. They're going to go for a 20-yard out, 15-yard out to get it closer to the end zone and then have a final shot at the Hail Mary. They want a higher they would want to increase their risk, or not that their risk, they increase their chance of actually converting that touchdown. They don't want it to be a heave and pray. They're looking for a calculated play against a defense that they think they could score a touchdown against. That's why this bothers me. If there were 2 seconds left, you're like, okay, it's a Hail Mary. It's probably not going to happen. If there's 8 seconds, that's enough time for someone to run a quick out. They gain 10 to 12 yards, and now all of a sudden it's not a heave and pray. It's a different scenario altogether. That really bothered me. It really did. Yep. And then the officials talking McVay out of that challenge, it doesn't make sense either. That should have been looked at from the eye in the sky. That shouldn't have needed a red flag from a coach. It doesn't add up. Nothing makes sense.
Well, I think multiple things happened. There's one, he called a timeout before because he thought that it was stopped. So he was calling his timeout, not challenging. And then he's like, wait, what do you mean? You're giving him the first down? And so he's like, okay, well, I want to challenge. I'm like, well, you already called a timeout. You can't challenge now because they waited too long. But also, I think that if he had been allowed to call the timeout and then challenge, that would have taken away his last timeout. He would have used 2 timeouts on that same play. So it would have screwed him anyway. Now, unless the challenge overturned the call and it wasn't a first down, which, again, where is somebody buzzing down to saying like, this is an important call, we need to get measurements? Where's the virtual measurement? Where's the actual measure? I don't know. It just seems like to me, regardless of what team I'm pulling for or what I want to happen or what gambling I've done, I want the right outcome if we have a way to figure out the right outcome. And it seems like that's taken a backseat this year to just like, I don't know, rushing along. And I don't know.
Yeah. A couple questions here. First, you're a Saints fan, but you watch a lot of football. In your opinion, in the regular season only, how many virtual measurements did you see this year in a regular season game?
I would say 5, but it's probably higher than that.
I was going to say you probably count on 2 hands. I saw with the Steelers. I watch every Steeler game every minute.
I watch a lot of games. Yeah.
1. I saw 1 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. And I've said for a long time, people are like, oh, but they're putting these chips in the footballs now. Until the chips tell them where to spot the football, it doesn't matter. When you still have humans spotting the ball, which I love these plays now where it's a quarterback sneak, tush push, whatever you want to call it. And you see the side judges running in, and they are a good yard and a half apart.
Different. Yeah.
How are they going to spot this ball?
Using the virtual measurement to determine if the incorrect spot is a first down or not matters none.
None. Absolutely not. Second question. Go ahead. Continue.
Well, I was saying also, what's crazy to me, you'll see somebody like the person that's in the middle spotting the ball, like looks across the field and is looking at somebody 20 yards away, and he just looks at their foot and then immediately puts the ball down and walks away. And I'm like, so that extra 6-8 inches that he's off matters on first, second, and third down. It can't only matter, for fourth down. It's, I don't know. They eye it from across the entire field all the time.
Exactly. Now, my second question to you is, in your opinion, the NFC Championship game, did the better team win?
I don't know, man. It's probably the better complete team. I think Seattle probably has the better defense. Listen, these 2 quarterbacks combined for 720 yards passing.
Crazy.
6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Both quarterbacks had a 127 rating. That
was elite football, man. That was elite football.
Incredible football. And also, let's not forget, it was 44 degrees at kickoff, and so it only got colder. They weren't playing in perfect weather. It just wasn't snowing and windy and stuff. listen, either one of these teams, I think, is going to murder whoever was coming out of the AFC. And they're similar teams, and they were built to compete with each other. Like they're in the same division, and they've had 3 great games this year, really 2 incredible games. But the Puka Nacua versus Smith and Jigba, the 9 catches and 10 catches, 165 yards and 153 yards. Amazing what both of them did. And the quarterbacks were amazing too.
I asked this to Kevin Smith on yesterday's Whip Around podcast. I'm going to ask you as well. Why do you think that if you were to poll random NFL fans, people that actually pay attention, not just like, I watch every now and then, people that follow the league, say, give me your top 5 receivers. Jackson Smith-Njigba is not listed. I just swear he would not be on that list because you would run through the Jamar Chases and the Justin Jeffersons and even Puka Nacua. I think he's a top 5 receiver in the league, though. Do you?
Yeah, he's top 5 for sure.
But why do you think no one would ever list him there? Is it because he plays in Seattle?
It's because it's been in Seattle. Like that's just, he played with Geno Smith and now he's playing with Sam Darnold, and neither one of them, have the name or have gotten the recognition. Sam Darnold is not going to, I don't know if Seattle wins a Super Bowl, or when the Seattle wins a Super Bowl, I'm still not sure if people are going to respect or give Sam Darnold his due. He might be Super Bowl MVP and still not get. I think he's being more lumped in with the Trent Dilfers than he's being lumped in with the Matthew Staffords.
Asinine. If that's the truth, if you hear someone say that Sam Darnold is lumped with Trent Dilfer, if you remember that Ravens team in 2000 that won, they were atrocious. They're not putting up the numbers he just did in the NFC.
I'm just saying he's just going to be dismissed of they won because the AFC was weak and because of the I think it's going to be disrespectful. And again, we talked about this a few weeks ago. There's 2 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that have won 14 games two years in a row. It's Tom Brady and Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold on 2 different teams. And it's Jeff, even when Seattle signed him, you're like, what is Seattle doing? Why would they do this? Why would they spend all this money on it's just Geno Smith again?
Right.
So but I think that I hope that he gets the respect he deserves. He's still going to be super underpaid. And that's great for Seattle. It's might be their only way to keep Kenneth Walker, who's a free agent after this year. Who's been great for them.
Well, Charbonnet tearing his ACL in the divisional round is going to help him in terms of trying to get a new deal because his rehab's going to push it into next season. So, all right, let's look ahead. We're going to focus next week, really start to dive into the Super Bowl. But your early thoughts on Super Bowl 60, Seahawks, Patriots, right there in the EMF stadium that we call Santa Clara, California. If you know, you know. What's your early thoughts and takeaways of the Super Bowl?
Seattle minus 4.5 and the over under is 45.5.
Sounds about right.
I'm hammering Seattle in the under probably.
Really? You're going to go under?
Explain to me why the Patriots are going to score.
They're not, but I think Seattle will. So what do you
think Seattle's going to score 40?
No, I think New England will score points. They will put up points. What is the total exact number again?
45.5.
I would want to see the trend in there because I want to see if it's trending downward. If it can come down to 43, definitely taking the over. If it doesn't, this is a tough line.
Yeah, if the game's 31-14 Seattle, that's the under.
You're right. Okay, I'm trending to agree.
And just so you know, the Super Bowl is the cheapest game that week. The cheapest tickets $6,442.
Goodness gracious, what a crappy game though! Like there's no juice in this Super Bowl.
But what if the Broncos had won, and rightfully should have? But what if the Broncos had won?
Jared Stidham.
You're just getting everybody from Seattle driving down a couple hours to go to the game. Which I'm sure is what is going to happen. Like that's gonna
it's going to be a Seahawks home game for sure.
There needs to be some respect for Seattle, I think, too, for what they went through with Russell Wilson. Who, they were kind of vilified for how they got rid of him and treated him, and how dumb it is to trade a future Hall of Fame quarterback. and then he's been not great for 3 different teams. That was my nice way of not great for 3 different teams since then. And they've come in, rebuilt their defense, because their defense did get bad for a couple of years. They've rebuilt their defense. They've brought in a running game. They've changed quarterbacks a couple of times here, and are back in the Super Bowl and are the Super Bowl favorites. So pretty impressive job for them in a pretty short amount of time to, and they didn't develop a quarterback inside either. They went and got different free agents and found the right guy. So different ways to build a team.
Pretty clear-cut example of parting ways with a player earlier than what most people would think and benefiting from it. They got a haul from Denver to get rid of Russell Wilson, and it all helped build what they've gotten to now. And most people like me said, what the hell are they doing? They're trading DK Metcalf away. They have no one now. Yep. They have Jackson Smith that Jake Butt didn't know he is who he is now, obviously, but they get Cooper Kupp. So reportedly, the Rams are trying to talk him into retiring after last season. I don't know. They've done it their own way, but it's not a wrong way.
And then just on the other side, and I'm not a Patriots fan, but talk about rebuilding a team in a short amount of time.
Yes.
They had huge roster turnover when Brady left and then Belichick left. They had 4 wins 2 years in a row. And they're now back in the Super Bowl. And it's really easy to dismiss them and be like, they don't deserve it. And Patriots fatigue over the last 20 years of what we've had. But this is a completely different team, coached by a head coach that was fired 2 years ago and didn't get a job last year. Think he could have, or 2 years ago. Yeah. So pretty great for Mike Vrabel. And then impressive what he's done and how the Patriots have rebuilt this. Because this is not just, it took them time to find a different quarterback. They've changed the team completely.
Yeah.
And I mean, even bringing in people like Stephon Diggs and stuff like that. So it's a very, very different team, completely different than when Brady or Belichick was there, and super impressive for them to be back. Whether they had the easy route or the hurt quarterback route or the hurt offensive line route or the super turnover CJ Stroud game route, still they're there.
You have to have a quarterback in the league to compete, and you have to have a defense that can make some plays when necessary. New England has that. They believe in Drake May. I think he's still a couple years away from being really, really good. But obviously Sam Darnold from the moment he left Carolina and spent some time in San Francisco, spent some time with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, now to Seattle. Talk about a career renaissance.
Is Matthew Stafford back? Is he back with the Rams next year? I
think he is. Do you?
You can't. He's the NFL MVP. Like you can't. I know he's thought about retiring, and I know this season was really tough on him. If we can go back to the preseason, like he didn't play in the preseason, didn't practice in the preseason, and there was a lot of speculation with his back problems of like, was he going to play and how much was he going to play? Pretty impressive. He's got to come back.
You think if they made it and he won, that he rides off into the sunset?
Yes, absolutely.
I got it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's a couple plays different here. They win. He goes and he wins his second Super Bowl. It also elevates him to the different level of quarterback that has now won 2 Super Bowls. With his numbers and his passing numbers, some of the best career numbers of any quarterback ever. You add a second Super Bowl to that, it puts you in that very, very elite category.
Yeah. All right, man. This has been a good show. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl in full detail next week for sure, getting everyone ready for the big game. But what's coming up on the Dome Patrol?
Still covering Saints news. We're all getting behind Cam Jordan, who wants to build a dome in every single city. We got to get rid of these playoff games ruined by weather. We'll still be covering all season. We'll get goofy sometimes because that's what the off season does. But find us on @DomePatrolPcast on X. Find me at Wesley13 on X, and you can find us Dome Patrol Podcast on all your streaming platforms. Where can we find you in your Mike McCarthy hype video?
That's right. Yes, the Mike McCarthy watch can be found at the Steel Curtain Network and steelcurtainnetwork.com. We are getting stoked for the Mike McCarthy era. I'm joking. From one Mike to another, Steeler fans will well, we're still going to produce content for you guys. So check us out. You want to find me on Twitter at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. That does it for us. Wesley, have a good show, man. We'll talk next week. Take it easy.
See you, man.